Hello and welcome to running commentary number 73. Whoa. All of nature is praising God right now. Right here in Central Park of New York City, where we exercise our mind, our body, and our soul simultaneously. And we find something interesting that is a theme that runs through all of the Mitzvot. And in Shabbat and Kiddush, we say, Tehillah l'mikrei kodesh, zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim. We put on tzitzit, these strings over here, the fringes, zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim. Every single day we recite, part of our prayer is Zachor, remember the day that God took you out of Egypt. All our holidays, the Kiddush of all the holidays, all the mitzvot have in them an element of Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim, to remember the exodus of Egypt. That's the question we're going to address today. Why is it that throughout all the mitzvot we are told by our halachic authorities and by the biblical commentators that all the mitzvot are connected to our exodus of Egypt? And in order to properly fulfill the mitzvot, we have to constantly think about and remember our exodus of Egypt, our exodus from Egypt. What's the connection? And the Rebbe takes it a step further and says, look, he says the Ten Commandments, our first communication with God as a nation, were the Ten Commandments, in which all of the 613 mitzvot are summarized, are there in a concentrated format. And within, is there a hawk there? Yes, there is a hawk. Is that a hawk or a falcon? Peregrine? A peregrine falcon. Whoa. We see history right here, Central Park. Peregrine falcon. Can you see it? I see it. It's right there, at the top of the screen. Cool. We have these bird watchers here. And, where were we? Oh, in the Ten Commandments, can have contained within them the seed of all the 613 mitzvot. And the first of the Ten Commandments, an initial communication that God had with us, contains everything that we need to have for the future, and in all the mitzvot connected to all of our Torah mitzvot. And in the first commandment, God says, I am God, your God, who took you out of Egypt. Asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am God, your God. Asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Who took you out of the land of Egypt, mi beit avadim, from the house of slavery. So the Rebbe says, this is very interesting. And he asks, why is it that the exodus of Egypt is so centrally themed throughout all of our mitzvahs, and we have to have the exodus in our minds in every step of the way when we learn Torah and we do observe all the commandments. There are many other commentators, of course, who talk about this, and their general response is something to the effect of the Jewish people began as a nation at the exodus of Egypt. So we have to remember our humble beginnings. Another theme that is explained by other commentators is that we were slaves in Egypt. God took us out from slavery in Egypt to serve Him. So if we remember that we were always really a nation of slaves, and the only reason God took us out was to serve Him, it will help us in our service to God. Those are all fine and beautiful and a little depressing, but the Rebbe gives another approach, which is, I think, an empowering approach. And this is what Hasidus does. It brings light and life into Judaism, into our stories, and into our history, into our laws, into our mitzvahs. And here's but one example of that. So the Rebbe says that in order to serve God, if somebody wants to serve God wholeheartedly, selflessly, true service, they need to leave Egypt all the time. They need to really, truly leave Egypt personally every day and potentially every moment. Why? Because the word Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim. The word Mitzrayim comes from the root Mitzar. Tsar in Hebrew means a narrow place, restriction, constriction, restraint, constraint, borders, limitations. The Rebbe says that in order to serve God correctly, if one wants to serve God, he or she needs to release themselves or be released from any border and limitation, any constraint that holds them back from being the best God servant they can be. And he explains, he says, we have a body, we have human characteristics, faculties, emotions, we have intellect, and then we have a godly soul. It says everything we have in some way naturally will constrict and constrain and obstruct and object to our complete service of God. Starting from our lower levels, just our human cravings, the bodily wants, what we call the nefesh habahamit, the animal soul. So the animal soul is not interested in serving God, just wants to feel good, just wants to have fun, and wants to survive. And the Rebbe says when a person who is focused on their needs, the cravings, the desires of that animal soul, is not going to serve God properly because their head is elsewhere. And so too even the emotions, which are a higher level human faculty. Because if you serve God and your motivation to service is that I like serving God, I love God, I feel like it. And also your intellect. You say, oh, I understand that it's a right thing to do. My intelligence me, it instructs me to serve God. So all those are wonderful, and they're great tools to use with which to serve God. But if they're the reason, the source, the motivation for our service, it's very limiting. And then our service will be measured to the amount of cravings, emotions, intellectual capacity we have. That's how much we'll serve. We'll serve when we like it, when we understand it, if we understand it, and how much we like and understand. And that's why the Rebbe says these are all great human capabilities, but they're interfering with our service to God. Therefore, we need to release ourselves from this Mitzar, from this Mitzrayim, from these restrictions. We need to get rid of them. We need to elevate ourselves from them. And the Rebbe says that if a person, approaches service using their emotions and their intellect, and they'll only study the Torah in the areas that they like to study. They'll only do the mitzvot that they like to do. So we need to free ourselves. That's the Yetziat Mitzrayim. Now, the Rebbe says this is a utopian thought, because who's really there? Who's completely selflessly serving God with no self-interest whatsoever? Not me, right? So, it's a utopian thought. The Rebbe says this is really what will happen when Mashiach comes. This is the ideal goal that we need to strive towards. And in this day and age, very few people actually are there. And for them, Mashiach has already come in a personal way, but not in a global way. And for the rest of us, says the Rebbe, sometimes we get a little glimpse of it. A little glimpse of that Messianic era where we just have the selfless moment of service. So it's not like very achievable all the time, but it's achievable sometimes. Shalom Shachar. Long time no see. Moving on, so the Rebbe says, nevertheless, don't despair, because God said already in the first commandment, I am God, your God, who took you out of Egypt. I took you out of Egypt. I already helped you. I already laid down the groundwork for you to leave your Mitzrayim, to leave Egypt. And I did what I needed to do. Now you do the rest. So we can all serve God selflessly in some way. That's the idea. Now, that was a talk from the Rebbe in 1954 that I just repeated to you. But 2 nights ago, I went to the Rebbe's Ohel, to the Rebbe's gravesite in Queens, where people go for blessings. People come from all over the world to get their blessings for whatever they need, for health, for parnasa, sustenance, for children. And another custom is for people to go before they get engaged to be married, or as they're getting engaged. So I brought with me the good friends of mine, Serge and his fiancée, Kaylee. You're going to see this soon. And we brought them for their wedding blessings. And as we entered the Ohel, the Rebbe's gravesite, I always look at the screen to see what the Rebbe's talking about at the time. And at the time, the Rebbe was talking about serving God with love and with joy. And he said, well, when a person serves God with love and with joy, then all the boundaries break free. A person who truly, if you truly love someone, the Rebbe said an example as a human being, loves another human being, you don't calculate and measure how much should I do for this person, what should I do, if or not, if at all. You just put your whole heart and soul into serving that person, into helping that person, if you truly love someone. That is appropriate also for a wedding and engagement, and also for our conversation here now, that the Rebbe said that when you serve God with love and with joy, joy breaks boundaries, and love breaks boundaries. And then you don't calculate and measure how much, if, when, you just dive in and you serve with all your heart and soul. That's the message for today. And that explains, going back to the question, why is it necessary to have the exodus of Egypt always on our mind, and why is it the theme that runs through all the Torah and all the mitzvahs, without which we cannot truly serve God, because we need to get out of our own Egypt. Leave me out. Let me go. Leave your me alone. Let it go and let God take over. God bless you. Share. Enjoy. Lehitraot.